Tonight, at the Royal Albert Hall in London, the Prince and Princess of Wales took their sweet, sweet revenge against brother and sister-in-law effortlessly, without any planning or strategizing required. They were the image of a royal response, magisterial, regal, and mystical. They threw magic upon daylight. As the evening drew in and the stars ascended into the firmament, our dazzling Princess Catherine emerged from her limousine at the hand of her handsome husband, Prince William, draped from head to toe in a stunning teal gown by Sophia that billowed in the wind and sparkled at the collar, which was embellished with crystals. The silhouette was sublime, but then again, how could it fail to be anything else with that absolutely exquisite and perfect figure? Prince William was sharp and dapper in black tie. They shimmied and schmoozed their way through the foyer with their esteemed guests, Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden and her husband, Prince Daniel. There was excitement as the royal couple arrived on the balcony, and the entire audience rose to their feet to the sound of God Save the King, and due respect was paid to His Majesty abroad. All rise, all rise. It seems that no matter what the world throws at them, what the media throws at them, all kinds of nasties and their own family members throw at them, no matter what they do, it seems that all the Prince and Princess of Wales can do is rise, rise, rise in a majestic glory, rise in popularity, rise in sexiness, and rise in the affections of our sweet nation and all nations. There is no business like show business, like no business, I know. Give them the old razzle-dazzle, my dears, because you today are star-billing your Royal Highnesses. Meanwhile, on the fuzzy end of the lollipop, the Dutch translator who worked on Omid Scobie's book has doubled down, insisting that the names of the two royals, King Charles and Catherine, were in the manuscript that she was sent. Yes, this lady, Saskia Peters, said she was not responsible for adding the names to the Dutch version of Endgame. This is what she said. As a translator, I translate what is in front of me. The names of the royals were in black and white. I did not add them. I just did what I was paid to do, and that was translate the book from English into Dutch. Not double Dutch. She's very shaken, by the way, and she's shocked and she's nervous. And judging by the photograph of her, it looks like she's being doorstepped by various news reporters. Does she not realise that she could make a few with the information she possesses? She needn't look so worried, my dear. It'll all blow over. But, understandably, she's been under great scrutiny and people want answers. She says pages were distributed between herself and her fellow translator by the name of Nellie. Not on your Nellie, my dear. Yes, it's this woman, Saskia and Nellie. They were the translators. She said, I've been translating for many years. This is the first time anything like this has happened. Not surprising. This is not something I wanted to be involved in. This has been upsetting. I do not want to talk about it much more. And with that, she was gone. And some other translators, professional translators that know this duo, have been leaping to their defence, saying they are very experienced professionals who have so many credits to their name. Why would they risk doing this? And who is to say they got the right names? And both of these translators, Saskia and Nellie, were sent the UK version originally by some other bloke called Zander. This inclusion, as I'm sure you've read by now, has led to 5,000 copies of the Dutch edition pulped. Although they will go back on sale next week. Well, curiouser and curiouser. mazes within labyrinths. But we all know the fountainhead, don't we? We all know where it all leads back to. Every single maze under every single labyrinth. Every single river leads to an ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, down to the suburbs of California, and the wells and reservoirs, puddles and ditches of Montecito and their pulp fiction. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Welcome to the broadcast, my dear old troops. Wasn't it lovely to see the Prince and Princess of Wales greeting their Swedish counterparts this morning? Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden and Prince Daniel, her husband. Lovely. They have such a warm and cosy relationship, and if it seems familiar, it's because it is. They're related, you know. Of course they are. They all sprang forth from the loins of Drina, our dear Alexandrina, better known as Queen Victoria. The grandmother of Europe. You know, she birthed 9 fruits of her labour, 9 children that survived, and 42 grandchildren, and they all went off and married each other, my dear. And you're left with, well, at the moment we still have, I believe, 5 monarchs throughout Europe that are descended from Victoria. Charles, of course, Denmark, Spain, Sweden, what's the other one? Norway. So that's quite a progeny, isn't it? Catherine was elegant in green, a rather understated look for her, very royal, very regal, the hair a little bit more sleek than we've seen of late. Nice, and of course, Crown Princess Victoria chose a bold red, which I think contrasted very nicely, doesn't it? For those of you that are curious to how exactly they are related, Queen Victoria's 7th child was Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught and Strathern. And together with Princess Louise Margaret of Prussia, they issued Princess Margaret of Connaught. Princess Margaret of Connaught went on to marry Gustav, Crown Prince of Sweden, and he later became King Gustav VI. And together they issued Prince Gustav, Duke of Västerbotten. Prince Gustav went on to marry Princess Sibylla. Don't you adore that name? I absolutely adore that name. I think it's devastating. Sibylla. S-I-B-Y-L-L-A. I love it. Sibylla. Princess Sibylla of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. And she was also descended from Queen Victoria via Queen Victoria's youngest son, Leopold. Prince Leopold was Princess Sibylla's grandfather. So there were relations from both sides descending down from Queen Victoria. Prince Leopold was a haemophiliac. He was that one, the one that died very young. But before he died, he did sire 2 children. One of whom, Charles Edward, went on to have 5 children, and one of whom out of that batch was Princess Sibylla. So that is how he came to Prince Gustav and Princess Sibylla issuing 5 more children, and out of that batch we have the current king, the existing king of Sweden, Carl XVI. And his issue of 3 children includes Crown Princess Victoria, who you see today with her distant relative, Prince William. What tangled webs we weave, eh, my dears? Especially that Queen Victoria. Well, I came over all glitzy today, firstly because it's the night of the royal variety, of course, and why not? And secondly, because Princess Eugenie was hitting the town. She was putting on the glitz, as were all of her friends. It was a rather boozy affair and a rather glamorous affair. And I'm actually thrilled for Princess Eugenie. I really am. She, as you know, is co-founder of the Anti-Slave Collective, and she was involved in that she's been involved in that for years, you know, before the whole subject became fashionable So it wasn't just some sort of knee-jerk reaction over the last 2 or 3 years. The Anti-Slave Collective, that's it. Her charity's inaugural gala it was at the Battersea Arts Centre, which is actually a really lovely venue that I'm very familiar with. And Ed Sheeran was there, James Blunt was there, and Cressy Bonbons was there. Ooh, Cressy Bonbons! Not only Cressida Bonus, who gave Harry a boner, or 2 or 3. Not only her, but also Nats Pinkham. Nats Pinkham was there, connected to Harry, as she was at one time. Even Theresa May turned up. Theresa May turned up. Do you think it's the naughtiest thing she's ever done? Or do you think that was still running in the fields of wheat behind the vicar's back or whatever it was? Honestly, if that vicar finds out that she's been drinking with Princess Eugenie, bottoms up in her glad rags, I don't know what to think. I think this is the naughtiest thing that Theresa May has now ever done. She's outdone herself. Sinful behaviour. But there she was in her baubles and beads, holding a little cocktail, having the time of her life, getting drunk out of her head, I'm quite sure. Princess Beatrice showed up with Fergie and the boys. Edo was there looking very smart, of course, and Jackie Brooksbank, lovely, lovely. And Fergie was looking very proud. They looked rather chic for the Yorkies. They looked rather chic, all in black. They seemed to have coordinated, as did Zara, always ravishing, of course. And I will say, Princess Eugenie, it was nice to see her curves being flattered by the dress. She's got a great bust. Show it off, my dear. Show off the boom boom. And, you know, she was developing the shape. Lovely. Lovely Eugenie. Well done. I didn't care for the strappy heels, but you can never entirely please me, can you? But very nice. And there was a daring split to the thigh as well. Beatrice really does look ravishing, doesn't she, with the red hair against the black. The King is in Dubai ahead of the COP28 event, where His Majesty is going to be addressing heads of state, heads of government and delegates at the opening ceremony of the UN Climate Action Summit. You see him here opening the Dubai campus of Heriot-Watt University, and he was accompanied by Scotland's First Minister. Later on, the King was joined by Patricia Scotland, who said it was an honour to join the King as he launched the Wildfire Resilient Landscapes Network, and said that the Commonwealth looks forward to this collaboration to build resilient landscapes which can deal with the growing issue of wildfires in a sustainable way. How very worthwhile. The President of Nigeria met with the King, and he said that the meeting was very productive and strengthens the Nigeria-United Kingdom partnership significantly. The Duchess of Sussex must be champing at the bit, mustn't she? Green with envy. Because remember, just in case you didn't remember or you didn't hear, she is 43% Nigerian. There she got out the calculator, found out exactly her biochemistry, ethnic makeup, 43% Nigeria. But there the King is, her arch nemesis, her archy rival, schmoozing with the President of Nigeria, who has nothing but good things to say about the King. Oh, and of course we get the English counterpart of the likes of Meghan Sussex, Dr. Shola. Dr. Shola, I don't know what her doctorate credentials are, but she waded in her sarcastic way on social media, I noticed, because I saw Piers Morgan reposting her comment. We are very much not racist. See me shaking hands with this Africa president. Operation Black Shield deployed here with media using photo op of King Charles's handshake with Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu as a shield. We see you, painting the nails. We see you. Yeah, well, we see you too, my dear. Unfortunately, it ain't a pretty sight. It's really not. And I concur with Piers Morgan's comment in response to you. Disgusting. Race baiter. For absolutely no reason. Should be thoroughly ashamed of herself for whipping up completely unnecessary and actually ludicrously comical attempts at whipping up hatred, I ask you. And Omid Scobie's been doing the same thing with the Duchess of Edinburgh, by the way. And this is another ludicrously comical attempt at besmirching her, Sophie of all people. You know, she's visiting Colombia at the moment and having a wonderful time. I have to say, she's there at the request of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, and she's undertaking engagements in support of the women, peace and security agenda. And she'll continue her work to champion the survivors of conflict-related sexual violence and the rights of women. Well, Scobie, in his book, accuses Sophie of casual bigotry. Sophie Wessex, as she was, simply because she joked about not knowing who Oprah Winfrey is when she was asked for her thoughts and feelings on Harry and Meghan's interview. She fended the question off by saying, Oprah who? I mean, you get it, I get it immediately. What kind of twat wouldn't get that? And what kind of sinister idiot would try and concoct something cruel and mean and racist out of it, I ask you? And the reason I know that that is the context that it was is because Camilla Tominey has come forward. She has come forward and explained that encounter. She was the interviewer. She was the one that was probing and trying to get an answer out of Sophie, something that she could use for headlines. She's gone on the record to say this, and that Omid Scobie is creating mischief for no other reason. Against Sophie, our trophy Sophie, that golden gal, you watch her with me. I've made many broadcasts showcasing how lovely she is and her work, and it's the kind of authenticity and loveliness that can't be faked and can't be put on for the cameras in the way that Harry and Meghan might do their spinning. You know, utterly genuine, not a bad bone in that gal's body. And, you know, they're making it out that she was racist because she said Oprah who in a jokey fashion. You really couldn't make it up, could you? What Scobie had said in the book was that the comments about the world's most successful black woman, meaning Oprah, and one of the biggest faces in entertainment, made the Wessexes seem stuffy, tin-eared at best, and casually bigoted at worst. Casually bigoted. What projection? Everything he said about them applies to him. He's the one that's tin-eared. He's the one that's casually bigoted at worst, and stuffy. Projection. He said, Sophie's Oprah gaffe is yet another page to add to the history of recent screw-ups. So that's yet more lies debunked. Piers Morgan debunked a load of lies we've already discussed about his relationship with Queen Camilla, and Camilla Tominey has debunked all of this, who did the interview and said that it's all been taken out of context. She did, however, say that it was the Archbishop of Canterbury that had no idea who Oprah Winfrey was. And why should he? He's got better things to do than watch chat shows. Her Royal Highness attended a meeting with the Vice President of Colombia, and she visited the Centre for Memory, Peace and Reconciliation, and she attended roundtable discussions and learnt about the culture and traditions of the local Pacific region, which has been deeply impacted by the armed conflict. It was very serious. And she spent meaningful hours with women's organisations and entrepreneurs before viewing a musical performance and some lightheartedness. And it was so fun to see her at the Tropico's Fruits of Hope Coffee Farm. That sounds like our kind of place, doesn't it, my dears? My fruits. The Tropico's Fruits of Hope Coffee Farm. Fruit and coffee together. Wow, that must be galvanising. She heard how it has been helping hundreds of former combatants build new lives after the historic peace agreement of 2016, and highlighting the role of women in continuing to build peace. In a world ever trashier, Sophie and these women remind us exactly what a lady is. It's a rare find, isn't it, my dear? Well, actually, I shouldn't say it's rare. There are ladies out there, but it's rare to find them platformed, seen by the public as role models, isn't it? It's rare to see. And say what you will about the royal family, nobody is pretending that they are perfect or without their flawed characters. But when you have a Catherine and an Anne and a Sophie, you're doing pretty well when it comes to role modelling what a lady is to the world, aren't you? We won't talk about Fergie. The same can actually be said for the York girls, Beatrice and Eugenie. They are wonderful ladies. Zara Phillips, most of the time, is a wonderful lady. The Duchess of Gloucester, the Duchess of Kent, Princess Michael of Kent, Count them up, my dear. Ladies all, no matter what you feel about them. Those that I've mentioned, ladylike and wonderful role modelling. And now we turn to Big Willie's Tusk. What a scandalously delightful prospect, eh, my dears? Big Willie's Tusk. Yes, here he is, the Prince of Wales, honoured some of the trailblazers in protecting wildlife and African habitats at the Tusk Conservation Awards at the Savoy. His Royal Highness helped launch the awards 11 years ago now, and it was one of his first patronages. And look, there's old Ronnie Wood, still rocking, still rolling like a stone. And the Princess Royal has been so busy that I can't catch up with her. Our dear Aunt Anne, I can barely catch up with her. I don't even have time to run through all the engagements she's got up to over the last week. But here is just a glimpse. We'll start with this glorious image. I loved this. The Princess Royal was in green, but also donned some gold and some black, as she awarded the University of London honorary degrees and fellowship to 5 notable figures at a recent Foundation Day. She presided over the ceremony to commemorate the establishment of the university in 1836. And here she is, flirting with the young bucks at the Team GB ball. I loved the silvery fabric here, so I had to fash it up for you. And the berry-like jewels to her breast. Gorgeous there, isn't it, that brooch? And the danglers from the earlobes. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And she officially opened the new Alford Schools of Military Music in Portsmouth, which combines training and rehearsal space for the bands of the Royal Marines and the Royal Corps of Army Music. And on Canvey Island, she toured the National Coastwatch station of the Island Yacht Club. She wore this camel coat and kinky boots. Coastwatch is entirely manned by volunteers to help keep the shores and the Thames safe. She wore brown gloves and sunnies. She also opened the North Cambridgeshire Fire Service and Training Centre in Chatteris and unveiled a plaque. And we'll finish off with some images of new saplings being planted. You know that's very special to me, the idea of trees and the green shoots of hope. And here we have the Queen as Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Lancers, joining soldiers from the regiment as they planted 1,000 oak saplings on the Sandringham estate in memory of the late Queen Elizabeth II. Isn't it absolutely lovely? She got stuck in with the digging and she looked thoroughly at home, didn't she, in her country boots and fur-trimmed hat. Actually, I've got a little bit of fur trim on my hat today, my dear, not anywhere else, you understand. I'm smooth as silk everywhere else. But the Queen has furry bits. Thank you for sharing your time with me, my dears. I enjoyed your company and hope you enjoyed mine. I'll see you in the next broadcast. Take care, my dears. Leave me a lovely fruity comment and let me know what you thought of Catherine's look this evening. Take care and toodle pip.